Hi, I'm Manala Khan, and I'm a student at the Bronx High School of Science, as well as the spotlight editor of the Science Survey, our school newspaper. The survey is going to sit down with Miss Reidy to talk about her recent announcement of her retirement, and to see what she has to say about the future of the school in relation to that. Let's go see what Miss Reidy has to say. What do you think you're going to miss most about Bronx Science?
The students. The students mostly. I mean, that's what I missed most of all when I became an administrator. You go into teaching because you like kids and you like your subject area. And being able to see those little sparks of light go off when you're teaching and saying, I got them to like it as much as I do.
What about your biggest regret as principal?
As principal? Oh God, I have a number of them actually. I guess my biggest regret is that I really didn't communicate better with the kids at the beginning. I was just so overwhelmed with all the things. You know, I became principal amidst a bit of a turmoil. I don't know if you know the whole story, but there was supposed to be someone else who was principal, and then that person was removed, and they needed another principal.
Oh, okay.
So there was a lot of pressure on the school and on me for change. And of course, being, a good Bronx Science loyalist, I said, what could possibly need to change? I mean, everything is wonderful here. And I came out of a department where things were really great. And I knew very, very little about the rest of the school. I had spent my life on the 3rd floor. And when I became principal, I saw a lot of things that were, I think, not consistent with the kinds of philosophy we espoused. So in thinking about my biggest regret, I think I tried to change too many things too quickly.
Okay.
And I think I didn't communicate the thought, the thought or the rationale or the philosophy behind why these things needed to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone's afraid of change.
Right.
Everyone distrusts it. And I guess I didn't realize how much you needed to communicate and build consensus.
Do you think that's the reason your years here as principal were so controversial?
Probably. I think there are a lot of reasons. I think for a lot of years we didn't grapple with issues we needed to grapple with, like cutting, simple things like cutting and dress code, to more complex things like grading policies.
One of the more controversial things during your time as principal has been the high turnover rate. Do you think that the high turnover in some departments outweighed the benefits of, cleaning house?
Well, the short answer to that is no. And so let's go back to what contributes to turnover rate. When I became principal, we had one of the most senior teacher population in New York City.
Right.
Okay? So retirements, I expected. There are other people who decided to leave because we live next door to Westchester. And we do a great deal of good training here. And the training we do benefits teachers, and the credential of Bronx Science allows them to move to Westchester and get paid $20,000 more. So those two categories aside. Then we have the category of people who didn't like the changes that were happening here, and they decided to leave.
Right.
And there, I could say I could count on maybe one hand the teachers I regret losing. There were some decent, in fact downright good teachers that decided they just didn't want to live with those changes. I think that the changes I tried to effect were not changes that were against teachers, but to make this a better environment for students.
And make it more regulated.
Yeah. So whenever I made a change, my first question, how does this impact on kids? Right. I always use the phrase, the kids are our customers. Okay? We have to be a customer-friendly environment. We work for them.
So then if you think you were trying to address the kids more, why do you think every leader receives love and hate, right?
Mhm.
But why do you think there was so much negative feedback at times from students as well?
Well, first of all, I think the most powerful person in a kid's life is their teacher. The kids are removed from me. A lot of teachers took their concerns to the students directly. And as I said, I began our conversation. If I were to do it again, I would make sure that my constituency, and I consider my constituency the students, understood clearly why things were happening. So with the lack of information for me, then they had other people who were, in a sense, trying to manipulate their opinion.
A lot of people are interested in the future of the school concerning the retirement, so let's discuss that in more detail. So you don't have a role in picking the interim principal?
Not really, no. That's done by the Board of Education. I hope it's someone who understands our school and understands the philosophy.
Okay, so speaking more specifically about your resignation letter has been criticized because it highlights financial and monetary reasons for leaving, whereas right now you're telling me about, personal and family. So what do you think of this criticism of the resignation letter itself?
Let's be honest. I tried to be very, very, I could have couched it all in emotions, and there certainly are a lot of emotions involved in all of this. I wanted to be very clear that I'm not being asked to leave, I'm not being forced to leave. I know that people tend to jumble issues. I know there's always going to be an issue at Bronx Science, because anything that happens at Bronx Science is newsworthy.
Okay, so talking about, that issue, of course, last year, the Stuyvesant principal retired right after the cheating scandal, and now you're leaving right after the track scandal. So, of course, it's going to be up in the air. People are going to wonder if the DOE has any relation to this, but, so, is there any relation between
Absolutely
the two?
not. We had no push here, had no influence. And I honestly, to be honest with you, I knew that would be a perception.
So if you knew that would happen, if it would create more controversy and...
Well, not create controversy for anyone else but me.
Right,
And so the thought was, okay, I could retire next November, because I have something planned in my life for next December. So I said, okay, I could wait for November, but what does that accomplish? Certainly not an easy transition for the school.
Mm-hmm.
If I wait for November, then we're starting the school year with me as principal, and whomever's coming in is coming in October. That's not an easy transition for that person or the school. Number one. Number two, who knows what's going to happen in September? It won't be track, it'll be something else. Because, as I said, Bronx Science is such a visible school that no matter what happens here, kids use their cell phones to order lunch, and that hits the news. There's always going to be an issue.
But you have to admit, this track scandal is a little bigger than anything else that's happened in past years.
It is.
I guess the biggest criticism for you right now is that, the allegations are that this is an inappropriate time to leave because Bronx Science is, one, under such scrutiny because of the track scandal, and two, all the DOE regulations are causing so much change. So I guess my biggest question for you would be that, with so much going on at Bronx Science right now, do you think it's an inappropriate time to leave?
No. I think the track issue is pretty much a done deal, certainly from the standpoint of the Board of Education. The school really took a hard hit on that issue, and so did 4 young people. I say 4 because certainly we have the alleged victim, but we also have the alleged perpetrators whose lives have been irrevocably changed. That's done. There's not much more we can do with that except try to get those 4 people back on their educational track, and that we are working on. So in terms of the school, what I've set in place now is, I thought I had set in place more than a year ago, but obviously those changes were never effected. but ensure that something like this can never happen again, or will
Right.
never happen again. So while the media, I mean, the media is not always correct, certainly never or always objective, and they don't do their homework as well as they should. The media will always find something to criticize. Are we going to wait yet for another issue to happen in September? There's never going to be a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I have to consider family as well. And in the letter, I tried to be as honest as I could. There's never going to be a good time.
Okay. So, I guess final question. What would you like to say to the students as parting words?
Oh, that's hard. That I'm really going to miss you. Believe it or not. That I know that you haven't always agreed with me and that we've had our differences of opinion. But I hope that you believe that every decision I've made has been with this kids in mind. And I will miss Bronx Science.
Thank you, Ms. Reidy. Thank you very much.